When Carmen and I sat down to decide what topic we were going to do, we both realized that we had chickens at our house, so we just went with it.
Chickens are domestic fowl that are normally used for their meat or their eggs. They were originally raised primarily for cockfights, but between the 4th and 2nd century BC, they were used for food. Males are often called roosters, while females are called hens. Females can lay up to 1 egg a day because it takes 26 hours to produce 1 egg. Hens cannot lay eggs until they are around 16 to 20 weeks old and only normally lay for about 2 years. Roosters often crow when there is a change in their surroundings, which is why they are normally associated with crowing as the sun comes up.
The first chapter we're going to talk about is Chapter 4, How Biologists Use Phylogeny to Construct the Deep
Millions
Past.
of years ago, before humans, dinosaurs ruled the earth, before they were all killed in the Cretaceous mass extinction. In 1860 in Germany, a fossil was found of a bird with reptile-like traits. It had teeth and claws on its hands. This fossil became known as Archaeopteryx. Before they discovered the Archaeopteryx, birds were thought to be unrelated to any other species. But after they discovered this fossil, they were able to decide that birds are dinosaurs. In the 1970s to the 1980s, paleontologists observed that skeletons of birds share a lot of traits with a group of dinosaurs known as theropods. Theropods were carnivores and bipedal. An example of a theropod would be the T-Rex. Later, in the 1990s, mostly in China, paleontologists discovered fossils of dinosaurs with feathers on their bodies. In the fossils of theropods, paleontologists found the most bird-like feathers. If you look closely at a bird's feet, you'll see a shape that resembles a dinosaur. You'll also see scales, like reptiles. Feathers couldn't have been used for flight in early theropods because the feathers wouldn't be able to carry them off the ground and their arms are too short. Some dinosaurs could have used feathers for incubating or insulating eggs. Nestling fossils of dinosaurs have been discovered, much like birds that sit on their eggs to keep them warm. Feathered dinosaurs are the closest known relatives to birds, and because of this, scientists can use them to discover the evolution of flight.
The next chapter we're going to be talking about is Chapter 12, The Evolution of Life History and Parental Care. We're going to be focusing on parental investment. Parental investment is how much time or energy a parent spends on producing or taking care of its offspring. The amount of parental investment has a direct correlation with the offspring's fitness, and the gender that invests the most energy can change in between species. This is an example of a caged environment. These chickens are forced to live in these cages and produce eggs for commercial gain. They are not allowed out of the cage, and this leads to a hot and high-stress environment. This type of environment has a negative effect on the eggs they produce because they invest less energy. This is an example of a free-range environment. With chickens, females invest the most energy in their offspring, and studies show that eggs from free-range chickens have more nutritional value than eggs that come from caged chickens. This shows that when chickens are put into better stress-free environments, they invest more in their offspring, which then, in turn, leads to the chickens having a higher fitness. Although this comes at the cost of the chicken, they still invest more because the environment they live in gives them more opportunity to regain the energy that they give to the eggs. The chickens that are living in cages their whole life can't afford to lose that much energy.
The last chapter we're going to be talking about is Chapter 8, Natural Selection, Empirical Studies in the Wild. Within the chapter, we're going to focus on artificial selection and how this impacts chickens. Artificial selection is something that farmers have been doing for hundreds of years. It can happen in domesticated animals and plants. It occurs when human breeders choose traits they favor, which can be influenced by economics and many other things. After they pick these traits, they breed specifically for the traits. Chickens used to be taller and skinnier, but humans prefer the taste of a fatter chicken. In chickens, artificial selection would be taking 2 chickens that have the desired trait and breeding them. The chickens that don't have the desired trait would not be bred, therefore their genes would not be passed on.
The end result would be an offspring that has the desired trait.
Here is a simulation about how artificial selection works in farming.
I'm gonna artificially select my chickens. So I'm picking this hen because she has good color. And I don't like this hen's color. I'm gonna pick this rooster to mate with this hen because he's a lot stronger than this rooster. That's it.
Sweet.
So after leaving my rooster and hen alone together, the hen finally laid an egg. And it looks like the egg is hatching!
Quack.
The rooster